Inilabas po Huwebes ang bagong immigration levels plan sa Canada kung saan babawasan ang mga immigrant na tatanggapin sa bansa. Kasama po natin si Immigration Minister Marc Miller para pag-usapan ang plano ng federal government. Minister Marc Miller, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Paula.
Right off the bat, many of us anticipated that the levels plan will be announced on November 1st, but it was announced a day after the Prime Minister met with his caucus. Is there a relation to the timing?
No, none at all. I mean, I think we were planning to announce it anyway. We usually announce it. I have to legally announce it by November 1st.
And I guess because of that, many think that was this a tactic to take the focus away from the trouble that the Prime Minister is facing with his own party?
No, not at all. I mean, these plans, unless the people at the party were planning to do it around our levels plan, but it doesn't matter. You know, these things are things people say, but they don't make sense. And it's stuff that's we've been working on for months. This is a very serious plan that is a very reasonable plan for Canadians in serving immigrants well as they come to this country in the volumes that we can accept. This is a significant reduction this year, and so the Prime Minister obviously wanted to make sure that he was being responsible and taking responsibility for announcing it himself alongside me. And I think that was the right thing to do.
Having mentioned that there have been significant changes to the levels plan this year for the next 3 years, the Canadian Federation of Independent Business is actually sounding the alarm over the possible significant impact this has on the economy, including business closures, increased workforce gaps, shorter shifts. So the hospitality, tourism, and service sectors will be among the hardest hit. What can you say about this?
I won't sweep under the carpet some of the challenges that businesses that have become over-reliant on foreign workers will face. I think we have to take a good look at the domestic labor market here that is robust and the availability of people to work that is there, and reorient our efforts. Not everything in this country can be solved by bringing in people from other countries, but we do obviously acknowledge the power of immigration, the importance of immigration as part of our social fabric and as an important aspect of the economy that has kept us, in fact, from going into a recession coming out of COVID.
Another business group, Minister, the Canadian Chamber of Commerce, is also very critical of the immigration announcement. They are calling the significant reduction, quote, disappointing for business across the country that in recent months have had to deal with abrupt and constant changes to immigration policy, end quote. So they go to say that we can do better. How will this abrupt policy change help the economy?
Well, I think they can do better as well, and this is not a criticism of their position, but I think we have to realize that we have, as a country, become over-reliant and I think addicted to temporary foreign work and temporary workers generally. Temporary means something. It doesn't mean a guarantee of permanency, but for a lot of people in that group, they may be qualified and have all the skills to become permanent residents. In the volumes that we were welcoming people, there just simply was not space to properly deal with that, and that's unfair to those same people.
I guess many are wondering how the government weigh in the consequences that this has to the economy. If you can expand on that.
The net result of this plan will be an increased GDP per capita, which is important. We have been criticized as a country of having lower GDP per capita. There's a whole discussion to be had on that, about fairness, about the fact that our workforce is younger, so naturally GDP per capita is a bit lower. But a big discussion as well on innovation.
Minister, OMNI is known for covering immigration stories that are really important for our communities. We meet a lot of people who dream of being permanent residents here in Canada, and the policy change has a real-life impact to these people's lives. Many of them have sold their lands, their farms, their properties just to send their relatives or even themselves to Canada. And with this change, what do you say to those people? How will you explain these changes to these people?
I certainly feel for them. People do put a lot of their hopes and dreams in becoming Canadian. It is true also that being Canadian, becoming a permanent resident is very valuable, and not everyone can be that. That is just the reality. We don't live in a utopia. Those same communities are some of the ones telling me to taper back on immigration because they are seeing volumes that they see in their own communities because they are impacted by them as unsustainable. We need to get it right, and I think this plan does get it right.
After their visas are expired, they will have to leave the country. So will we be seeing a lot more, thousands of people getting deported?
Temporary does mean temporary. It doesn't mean a guarantee towards permanent residency. When people have a visa that expires, they have a choice. And that choice is to take the right decision and leave the country or transition into permanent residency or face a situation of irregularity and illegality. We are a country with the rule of law. Due process is very important to Canadians, but ultimately sometimes we do have to deport people that refuse to leave, and that's highly unfortunate, but that's part of a rigorous system that makes Canada what we are.
Minister, we also noticed that in the new levels plan, the targets for 2025 to 2027 in the PNP or Provincial Nominee Program is set to 55,000. Will this add to staff shortages in specific sectors and provinces, given that PNP helps with labor?
Provinces have constantly come to me and ask me for more and more people to bring in, but with all the power they want without taking the responsibility. If you compare apples to apples, whether our high-skilled federal program works better than the provincial nominee program, it does based on the points. That's provable. The PNP program is relatively new. It's expanded significantly. I don't think provinces have necessarily taken the responsibility building the infrastructure, building the houses, making sure the healthcare system is robust, and really targeted it to what they said they needed from us in the first place.
And finally, Minister, one of the reasons Liberals were elected was because of your party's pro-immigration platform. But with these changes, what will be the impact if an election was to be held today?
I'm not going to speculate. I didn't do this for electoral reasons. I did this because it made sense. We've been working on it for a year. I think it'll show to Canadians that we're responsible about immigration, that we have a controlled migration plan going forward for the next 3 years, and Canadians can frankly discuss and decide for themselves. What they will be able to see is a plan that we've put out there that makes sense. They haven't seen it from any other party, and I think that is something that is important to realize.
Thank you so much, Minister. Thank you again for your time.
Appreciate it.